Good evening, everybody. I am, as always, your fearless host, Carla Christopher, York City's Poet Laureate, and I am excited about the awesome show we have for you tonight. Now, we have our first guest. She's taken York by storm. She's an incredible violinist. She's also a singer, an artist, a poet, and she, of course, shares all of that with us because that's what we do here. Helena Lalita. We also have a fabulous globe-trotting poet who just came back from Ireland and is now working at the library system right downtown, making the world a better place through words. My friend and a wonderful artist, Pollock. And then we have art at its very best, another globe-trotter, Carmen Walsh, who is another multidisciplinary artist. She writes, she does graphic design, and her photography of her recent trip to Greece is absolutely breathtaking. So enjoy our little subplot theme we have going on today of some fabulous globe-trotting women who are bringing the best of their international experiences right here to York, Pennsylvania. And you get to have it all, well, on the corner of culture in Maine. Now, Helena just got back from working it out on the West Coast, and she has been taking the York scene by storm. But there's a whole lot more to her than just being one of the most talented young performers on the scene today. And after we get to enjoy some of her music, we're going to find out just what makes Helena not only an incredible artist, but also one of the most interesting people that you're going to ever get to meet.
Hey there, little fellow, you're so funny. You make me wanna stomp my feet, you make me wanna laugh. Yes, you're cunning, so much you're driving me insane. But I love you anyways, 'cause in the end we're all the same. Playing tricks with shadows, mind games in the meadows, tic-tac-toe with the pharaohs. And everywhere you say, oh, seeing symbols in everything. Hey there, little fellow, you're so funny. You make me wanna stomp my feet, you make me wanna laugh. Yes, you're cunning, so much you drive me insane. But I love you anyways, 'cause in the end we're all the same. Shadows, my games in the meadows, tic-tac-toe with the pharaohs. And everywhere you say, oh, seeing symbols in everything. Playing tricks with shadows, my games in the meadows, tic-tac-toe with the pharaohs. And everywhere you say, oh, seeing symbols in everything. And everywhere you say, oh, seeing symbols in everything. Thanks. That was called Tic-Tac-Toe. Finito.
And I am here with the fabulous, dynamic, and utterly beautiful, and that is on the inside and the outside, so don't be fooled by what you see, Helena Lalita, who is actually the protege of Don Kern, who will be a violinist, will be performing for us in a few weeks. But today it is all about Helena, as well it should be. Her talent is, as you've seen, incredible, but she does a lot more than just play violin and sing as beautifully as she does. The artwork that you see behind us is also her creation. And we have a couple of other pieces of hers, in fact, that we'll check out later. And on top of that, she is a beautiful poet that we'll get to hear from. But before that, I want everybody to get a chance to get to know you a little bit more, because now since you have been back home here in York, you have exploded on the local scene. I've gotten to see you at several venues. You were at the Bean Festival where we filmed for a little bit, so we got some of that footage. How does it feel after having traveled a lot of the world, having been out playing music on the West Coast, to be back playing music in the York and the South Central Pennsylvania art scene? What's the difference?
I feel free, like I felt free like when I first started making music, and I like creating without like having any expectations or any like, well, it's gonna be this way and I'm gonna expect this amount of people to come, and like I kind of feel the magic that I feel when I busk, which is just like I get to control everything. I can just go set up, play violin on the side of the street. People don't have to even pay me any attention. They usually do, but like I close my eyes and then like I open them and then like there'll be like 3 kids like sitting right in front of me, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, so, you know, music is something to be shared. It's not something to control, and I think, you know, it's really easy when that becomes your like profession to start like overthinking it, and it just kind of loses the
You can lose the joy. A lot of professional artists will mention that when they're on the show. It's finding that balance between sustainability and getting your art out there to as many people as possible, but then also having it be about the joy, not about having to produce and having to make a certain amount of money. Now, busking is actually a huge hot button issue in York right now, because City Council recently, within the last year, passed the allowance of busking in York.
Cool.
So we now have a lot of street musicians that are playing in Central Market and playing downtown as a way to attract more people. But you are a very accomplished street performer. Now, what's the difference as a classically trained musician being out there performing on the street? That's never weird for you? Just
no, I don't know. It's something that I've been doing since I think the first time I ever did it was in France, like outside of this like hotel, maybe in like Paris or something. It was like in a major city, but I think I was 12 or 13 and I did it, and I got some euros, and it was pretty cool. And then the hotel person came out, like, you can't do this. My mom was like, really? She's like,
not
a
allowed.
Kid. No soliciting. No.
Unacceptable.
No.
Now, you come from a very musical family. In fact, your dad is going to be, who's a local professor and a sitar player, is going to be a guest on the show in a couple of weeks. Is that how you got started playing so very young? Yeah,
I started violin when I was 4, and I am a violin teacher, like, professionally now, being back here, and it's like, wow, I must have, whoa. Like, my parents had a lot of patience. But my mom sings Indian classical, and that's how she met my dad. She was studying Sanskrit in India, and my dad was born and raised in South Africa, although he's Cypriot. But he was in India studying yoga and sitar obsessively, as most artists are when we're doing our 20s.
Get into something.
Like, super like horse vision. But yeah, he met my mom there, and they had me in the Himalayas, and awesome. Music and art. Both my parents are artists as well. Like my mom is an amazing painter, and she's a poet, and I'm really blessed. But they like art and music is like I live it and breathe it, and it's in my blood. So there's really no way I could ever escape it. There's no way out.
I understand. My mother was an art gallery owner, and my father was the jazz musician that played at one of her openings.
Oh my gosh.
And, bam, 10 months later.
It's pretty romantic.
It is. It's my favorite story ever. But it is a huge influence when you grow up surrounded by the art and the music.
Yeah.
It just takes your soul over, and one bleeds into the other. I don't know very many real artists that are actually limited to one genre. Once you start expressing yourself creatively, it's so natural to find other new outlets.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get started with the art? In fact, let's take a look at some of the other pieces that Helena has created. Now, as we scroll through those on the stage, the artwork, you use ink?
Yeah, I do a lot of like graphite, like pencil, and watercolor and ink. Those are my main things. I like charcoal a lot too, but it's super messy. So like, and yeah, the cleaning up part is like the only thing that I don't like. So pencil is really nice and like delicate, and then like, you know, everyone's like, well, why not clean up your eraser shavings? I think the eraser is a tool too. Like I love using that to like create space and
right,
movement.
You can blur and shade and put something down, take it up.
Yeah, and sometimes like I think there's a couple pieces that might be showing, but like I love French and I've been studying French for like since I was in high school. So I'll turn my poetry and I'll translate it into French, and I'll use that like on the background.
Now that's actually one of your future plans. I know you're back here and you're teaching, and you've been street performing and creating an album and doing all kinds of recording and experimenting with using more and more of the loop station, and which is just super cool and allows you so much more diversity in the layers of sounds. But now you've got some pretty serious plans for what you have coming up, including more time in France. What's coming up next for Helena?
It's not like super planned, but I'm hoping in the next I'll have my EU citizenship through my dad because he's from South Africa, but he's Greek, so I'll be able to like go to school and have health benefits and all those things that come with being European. But but I guess by April I'll have that, so I'm hoping by next summer to relocate to France and teach violin and teach English and just travel and keep creating and meeting more people and speaking French.
Oh, that is absolutely amazing. Would you be willing to share some of the poetry that you brought with us? I would love to hear a couple of pieces.
I never ever share my poetry. Like I don't even share it with my dad. Yeah, I'm really
well, it's just you and me and, you know, a few other people down the road out there.
Okay.
But it's lyrics. I believe firmly that lyrics at their base are, you know,
it has to be poetic, and that's, you know, especially. I think it's like synesthesia or whatever, but like I don't think only just some people have synesthesia. I think kind of everybody has senses that kind of blur together, and I cannot experience music without seeing things and without, you know, images, and it's like a moving movie, like cinematography. So that's kind of how I pull from. I also realize I don't really write about like human love and relationships. It's kind of like my fascination with darkness and light and walking on that tightrope, and my just like sensual love with the divine, like with the universe, you know. So like instead of talking about like, oh, my boyfriend and then this and that, like that's just so like a thin little layer. Like there's so much more love that's powerful, and there's this burning, yearning desire that like comes from connection with nature, and coming back to the East Coast has really helped reground me with that, because I think living in a city like Los Angeles can like really just disconnect you from like what's actually important in life. Wow. But anyways, this one is unnamed. I don't really name them. When we're out at sea, in your whitewashed vessel, floating, skimming, cahooting on, in our diamond days, our laughter glistening in each other's mouths. Golden tendrils wrapped around my fingers, lips of honeysuckle hiding future plans. When we're out at sea, all comes rushing in, a million gliding elephantic memories of days long past. A joy, a solitude, the stillness in your arms, a yearning for a taste in my heart. When we're out at sea, our hearts tuned to one key, I ride you, a perfect sailor, steering me on,
And in this wholly watchful eye, a tsunami or tornado might strike, a jeer from a passerby. But when we're out at sea in your whitewashed vessel, floating, skimming, cahooting on, a blessing we discover every time, a miracle it is to surrender in you and I.
Wow.
Boom 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 boom. The moon in the sky, she sings a lullaby. Silvery wings, dust streams in my eyes. Fall asleep to the crickets dancing along in the breeze of circus queens. Let it be here now. Easy time is forever. Let it be real, and now is the time to dream forever. You are a ray of sunlight, and everything's gonna be alright. And all that needs to be done, the wind, sky, and sun are giggling. You are a ray of sunlight, and everything's gonna be alright. And all that needs to be done, the wind, sky, and sun are giggling. Boom boom, doo-doo-doo-doo. As the rain leaks inside just a little bit, and I smile 'cause I don't mind. And the leaves kiss my face to tell a little story about a girl with twinkling eyes. Let it be here now. Is the time is forever, and let it be real. Now is the time to dream forever. You are a ray of sunlight, and everything's gonna be alright. And all that needs to be done, the wind, sky, and sun are giggling. You are a ray of sunlight, and everything's gonna be alright. And all that needs to be done, the wind, sky, and sun are giggling. a ray of sunlight. Oh, I'll ray of sunlight. Then everything's gonna be alright. And all that needs to be done, the wind, sky, and sun are getting you. Oh, a ray of sunlight. Then everything's gonna be alright. And all that needs to be done, the wind, sky, and sun are giggling. That was Sunlight. You can check it out on my website, HelenaLolita.com, and Sunlight is actually a music video. This is called The Offering, and it is based on the tale of Bluebeard. Upon my chest, would you ask, please, I'll escape your nest. You collected all the things that you knew I would hold true. On the feet, I'm out the door. You are fast asleep out into the night. They call me through the trees. They whistle and whisper through the leaves. They reach out to me. You have taken everything from me. Now you prop me up with sticks in your stones. Put a smile on my face just to let you know you're not alone. Hey, 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 hey. Me Stretch me over the sea, lay me down suddenly, open me up to skies. Stretch me over the sea, lay me down suddenly, open me up to skies. Open me up to the skies, your sacrifice.
See, I was fascinated when I first read your name. I have a very little known obsession with things of Arabic and Indian mythology and writing. So when I was like, Lalita, that's actually an Indian goddess. I'm like, that's a weird name for a Greek American violinist. And then when I realized that that was part of your family's origin and your family's interest, I thought that was the neatest thing. But in your reading, you can see the images and the lyrical flow that are really reminiscent of like a Pablo Neruda or a Khalil Gibran, but just in a modern translation. Now I get to be official now because, you know, I'm a poet. That's what I get to do.
Khalil Gibran. Oh my gosh.
With a completely unique modern twist. It's beautiful. Do another one. Come on, do another one. Do another one.
Oh.
Come on, come on, come on.
I had that one planned. I don't know.
That's absolutely astonishingly beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it.
Oh no, I have. It's not like cohesive. It's not solid. It's not one thing.
You don't have to do another one. I'm just messing with you.
Well, I'll just read it and I'll stop when I feel like it turned into something else.
Nice.
I awoke with dawn, eyes fluttered open, look beside this morning, to find the most beautiful girl, curls sleeping, drifting, chest rising softly. And oh, her perfume entangles me. We'll rain and fall together. You are a sweet wonder. You are my crystal soul. A storm of bird calls enchanting. You are a feast of purity. I rise with dawn, Usha love. Fill me up. Here, open and waiting. I am steeped in your light. I am ready. It's ambrosia I've been waiting for. My colored hair and jewels, my robes and silks I gave to the wind. And from within I wish to drink your glorious nectar. All this I wish. All this I wish.
Wow.
Thanks. I'm like, no, and I close the book up and put it away.
So now people can find you and they can find your music and more about you on your website, HelenaLolita.com.
And Facebook is a little bit better. Like Facebook, I think, I mean, my website has my stuff, but like my my Tumblr or my Facebook or my SoundCloud has like all of my secret loops.
Awesome.
I kind of like it to be unknown, but like it's just kind of like a place where I put my little treasures. And then I think even on Flickr I have like my portfolio, like my art and stuff.
Awesome. So you are social media savvy, so people can find you
Kind of.
by looking up Helena Lolita
I
on
hate
all those
social
Tumblr
media.
and Flickr and Facebook. So everyone, make sure there is plenty of Helena Lolita to go around. Make sure to check her out on all her sites, downloads, go on SoundCloud, and just enjoy letting the music that she has written, she has sung, she has played, she has looped, and that she creates to share with you wash over you as you have already let it today. Thank you. And we have to give a shout out to your amazing collaborator.
Yeah.
Your amazing collaborator, your fabulous guitarist.
His name's Dustin Kohler, and I went to high school with him.
And he rocks.
Amazes me. He has his own band called Phenomenal Animal, and they're just so cool and like just very comfortable with themselves. And yeah.
Well, to Dustin and to you, Helena, thank you so much.
This one's called Tic-Tac-Toe, and it's about not taking things too seriously and being a child always. Hey there, little fellow, you're so funny. You make me wanna stomp my feet, you make me wanna laugh. Yes, you're cunning, so much you're driving me insane. But I love you anyways, 'cause in the end we're all the same. Playing tricks with shadows, mind games in the meadows, tic-tac-toe with the pharaohs. And everywhere you stray, oh, seeing the symbols in everything. Hey there, little fellow, you're so funny. You're making me wanna stomp my feet, you're making me wanna laugh. Yes, you're cunning, so much you're driving me insane. But I love you anyways, 'cause in the end we're all the same. Playing tricks with shadows, mind games in the meadows, tic-tac-toe with the pharaohs. And everywhere you say, oh, seeing the symbols in everything. Playing tricks with shadows, my games in the meadows, tic-tac-toe with the pharaohs. And everywhere you say, oh, seeing the symbols in everything. Playing tricks with the shadows, my games in the meadows, tic-tac-toe and everything.
Easily one of the most captivating voices I've gotten to hear in poetry all year long. E.C. Pollock is just sheer fun. She's exciting, she's enthusiastic, and she loves the written word. And I think you're going to love her. E.C. Pollock.
Hi, I'm E.C. Pollock, and this poem is called Aftermath. Lovers, hold on to everything, because when you're holding on for dear life, that's when you find what you're made of. I walk, and the rose petals fall slowly, as if they have gravitational properties which allow them to float for just a while longer before they hit the ground. God, I wish for that gift. An ethereal light illuminates my figure. I crashed onto the dirty mattress on an even dirtier floor and writhed my body, screaming, "Wait! Wait! Wait!" This isn't the story of heartbreak, it's the story of what happens after it. I've felt the heat from the core of the earth give birth to my broken body. He broke me, but I fixed me. It took an eternity. When I thought I just needed his love, I found I just needed mine.
Okay. We're back with fabulous globe-trotting poet, E.C. Pollock. So welcome back to America. I know it's been several months now that you've been back. So are you culture acclimated again to being home?
I am, yeah. It's a little weird paying in American dollars and not euros anymore, and it's a little weird, with gas stations and not filling stations, and just stuff like that. Nice. But still, it's still acclimated pretty quickly. So
now, what inspired you to actually go overseas? I mean, we're talking about York, which, as beloved and wonderful a location as it is, it's a big deal for people to go to 17404 to 17406.
It is. That's
They're
true.
Like, hold on, I don't really drive like that. That's doing too much. And you're like, I'm going to Europe.
Yeah. I threw that out there. Yeah. I went over there to get my master's in Irish Studies, and I figured, hey, Ireland's a pretty good place to get your master's in Irish Studies. So
nothing like the source.
Yeah, exactly. So I went over in, August or September of last year, and was there for a year, and it was absolutely amazing. It was just great, and I've always loved Ireland, and I've always loved its history, and that was kind of a dream of mine to go over and really study its culture and its history, and it was just a great experience. It was wonderful.
Yeah, that is so on the bucket list. I want the castles and,
Oh yeah.
you know, I am a Guinness fan.
Oh yeah.
I was pretty stoked. I was pretty stoked that you did the Guinness poem. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was like, that's exactly what it's like. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
I love it.
I make a lot of connections between love and alcohol, I find. So I have a lot of poems that I'm looking at and I'm like, cross-reference the two a lot.
When you look back, I've noticed that too. Like when you're in the certain individual poem, you don't realize it necessarily. But then when you step back and look at your body of work, you can start to see some of the themes of the things that are really important to you.
Exactly.
You're like, okay, well, that's obviously what's important to me.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Nice. So now that you've been back, you have actually gone into working with the written word pretty much every single day now.
Yeah, every day.
So share with us what you have decided to settle into since being back.
Yeah, I actually got this job by a fluke, but it really was. I kind of just happened to see it advertised on the library website, but I'm now a grant writer for Martin Library and York County Library System. So I do grant writing all across York County for all the libraries, and yeah, it is awesome because I get to write for a living. So, and that's the dream, that's the goal. In a different way, obviously, but I just love it because I can help serve a cause I'm really passionate about, which is public library and the services we can provide people. And yeah, I absolutely love it. It's great. It's a lot of work, super hard, but I just enjoy every second of it. So.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So now, do you feel like, because I know we have a lot of artists that come on the show, and they talk about finding the balance between wanting to be a professional artist, a professional in their field, but then also still keeping the joy, the spontaneity of being able to create. And, they go back and forth. Some people are like, I need to go be an accountant or like a soccer coach because when I try to be a professional writer all the time, I now can't write anything at all.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are like, I cannot go to school, I can't coach soccer, I can't do anything because this is my passion, calling. This music, this writing is my calling and I have to do it. But then, they still are like the ones that I don't like doing the publicity though, and I don't like having to, be my own Twitter manager and my own Facebook manager.
Right.
So do you feel that doing non-fictional, very detail-oriented, very specific writing has any effect on when you get to sit down and do creative writing?
Definitely. I mean, there is that kind of burnout effect where since you're literally doing one thing every second of every day, when you come home, it's kind of exhausting. And I find that it is tough, like you were talking about the balance. It is tough because there's the professional side and there's a career and, putting food on the table. Right. And then there's that creative outlet that it is hard to balance. But I find that when you need it most, it comes to you. You know what I mean? Like it's things that are really bad and times that it's really stressful. That's the time when the creative outlet just comes back to me. That's for sure. So this next one is called I Ignored Every Warning Sign and Came to You Anyways. I came to you because I thought you would save me. You laughed over the John Hughes quote that now is a seminal classic, but I'm not sure because I don't believe in it. Or maybe it's just you I don't believe in. I didn't have enough energy to pretend I was having a good time. I would rather sink into you slowly, like I would in a shipwreck or an oversized couch cushions, and be usurped by that cold water that wakes you up, or musty fabric when it swallows us whole and we sink to the bottom. I'd only feel your long arms around me and nothing else. I'd rather strip for you, not to be naked, but to take my layers off. And then I'd try not to love you so that I could fall into you once more, let the overwhelming overwhelm me again, until I forget the ongoing drama of the head and the heart, a purposefully never-ending story. We quote our favorite title page to our favorite epilogue, an absurd story about love and blowing things up, because really, like hospitals and prisons, it's the same damn thing. Opportunity and random occurrence are just a farce that we use to pretend fate doesn't exist. Everything that matters seems too big to be real, but I lived long before this and I will exist ever after. One day I will achieve greatness. You will be forced to know me then, since you won't now, nor ever will be.
One day, somebody is going to come on the show and they are going to say, I just get so inspired to write when I'm just really happy and everything is great and I'm so excited by the positivity and I just need to express that. I am still waiting. I think this is like episode 40 or something like that, and that has not happened yet, but I have faith that it's coming.
Sometime it'll come.
It's coming.
I have one poem that's called Titled, and it's the first line of it is, I have nothing to write about because I'm so happy.
Yay!
It was a particularly good time, but of course it's my least looked at poem on my website.
Of course. Of course. So now I know that you are working on getting the poems collected, and there is book ambition in the future.
Yeah.
And there is website availability now for people to go and read your poetry and interact with the poems and get to leave comments and talk to you.
Yeah.
What do you say that, the least looked at, like when you have certain things that people, do look at or certain things that people are really excited about, what tends to really reach people?
I think, it is very diverse. I have a website on Hello Poetry, which is kind of the Facebook of poets. I absolutely adore it. I love it. It's great. And it is great because it gives you feedback and it gives you kind of an insight of what people are interested in and what they're reading. And, when they comment, it tells them your feelings right away. So I find that the ones that seem to kind of hit are either my really obscure things that are like really random, like I have one called Dismantling Your Face Off, and that one seems to be doing really well. Nice. So things that are kind of funky and kind of stick out to people, I find are doing well. And also the ones that I think are relatable, that, people have gone through that and they just want to hear how you're writing about it. They want to see how you're putting it. And I think that inspires people. And I know that's what I'm touched by when I'm looking at that community as well. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, make sure that you go online and check out more of EC's poetry. It's not the same as her fabulous dynamic performance, but there's no substitute for the gorgeousness of the written word. So,
preach.
Right?
Preach.
So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was a real honor. Thank you.
And for performing. You're freaking just awesome.
I've lately gone through a phase of reading as much Scott Fitzgerald as I can, and I'm fascinated by his wife, Zelda Fitzgerald. So this is kind of my tribute to her, and it's called I Could Have Been Zelda. Oh, baby, we were doomed from day one. Wings on my eyelashes, a silky robe around my shoulders. You wore a vest and t-shirt, indulged in cowboy bohemia. God, it was sexy. Oh, baby, we thought we were unstoppable. We drank too much, met new people by liquid courage, and found fearlessness suited us well. We harnessed the trade winds and went where we wanted. Interest and innovation embedded in curiosity, in art and newness and literature and truth, calling bullshit like we saw it. We were entitled and young and free, no restraints. And hey, maybe that was the problem. The problem with freeness is running and running and running until you forget what you're running towards and instead find you're actually running from. Oh, baby, we were doomed from day one. We just didn't know it yet. I'm just too tired to run anymore. I could have been like Zelda, tired Sorry. I could have been like Zelda, tired from the facade, strong and petrified at the same time, finding distractions in every part of life that made me forget we weren't as free as we thought we were. God, baby, didn't you know we were doomed from the very first day we met? I suppose I should thank you. Thanks for breaking my heart. You saved me from breaking my own. I could have been like Zelda. This last one, I just spent a year in Ireland, and it was one of the best of my life, and this is my tribute to Ireland. So it's called Your Love is Like Guinness. Your love is like Guinness. Black, hard to see through, heavy, and tasty. And if I have too much, really, really bad for me. Thank you very much.
It takes a very special eye to be able to capture the beauty of a place and by just putting the image in front of you, make you feel like you were there with her. And Carmen Walsh's art absolutely does that. I fell in love with her photography, and then I was shocked to find out exactly how much of an artistic paragon Carmen is. She's a great writer and an editor and a graphic design artist. Carmen combines the best of business sense, practicality, and creation and artistry all together. And she is doing an incredible amount to make the York art and culture scene a better place. Let's check her out. Now, I would love to be able to say that Carmen Walsh is one of the most exquisite insert art here that I know, but there's no way that I could complete that sentence without totally limiting her. Because she is a fantastic photographer, but she is also a writer, an editor, and guru of all things internet, graphic, and publicity based. There's pretty much just nothing that Carmen is not doing right now. So I'm just gonna let her jump in with me so that she can tell you how she's managing to keep all of it straight, because people say that I'm busy and they're like, I don't understand how you do all the different things you do.
Of course.
And I'm like, yeah, when I just look at your dossier, I'm like, I have no idea, because it is so all across the board.
It is.
It is all across the board.
Yes.
So let's start with the way that I first heard about you was actually through Walsh Writing.
Right.
Which is a combination of your work and your creative work, but then also a lot of the assistance that you give to other people. What exactly does Walsh Writing do?
Yes, Walsh Writing does a variety of things. So I started it as my own business after I moved to York, actually, it's about 12 years ago almost now.
How time flies.
Yes, and I do writing, which is it's been mainly for healthcare anyway. I do a lot of editing in the educational field, as well as for independent authors and pretty much whoever would come to me with editing work. And then I also do a little bit of graphic design with that. So even within Walsh Writing, it is a little all over the place. But I do like that. So for me, what I found worked well was if I'm writing all day or if I'm editing all day, you get to a point maybe 6-7 hours in where your brain starts to go, I'm done.
Done, definitely.
So I found that I could do design work after that. You know, switch to the other half of the brain, and I could get a little more in my work day.
And is that where Carmen Walsh Designs came into play?
Well, I added the designs when I started focusing on photography. So I wanted to have another website where I could just have my photography. So I added on the designs, walshwritingdesigns.com is my photography site. So that is my creative passion these days, is my own photography, where I take pictures of, as someone asked me, do you take, what people ask you to take, or do you just do what you want? And I said, I do what I want. So that's my photography. That's Walsh Writing Designs.
That is awesome. So now, previously to focusing so much on photography, you're not just a technical writer, but very much a creative writer too. You even brought some of your books with us today, which we have to.
These are actually more.
Books that you
These are books that I either edited or worked on the layout and design. So
that is so cool. Look how cool this one is.
This is one that I just did the design and layout for. So I worked with a literary publishing press that is owned and run by Clorinda Harris in Baltimore, and she used to be the chair of the English department at Towson University. And so these are all books through her literary press.
Wow.
And so I got a lot of, great experience doing graphic design and layout, book layout for her, which I loved doing. It's a little bit of technical in there to get all the measurements right, and then, of course, the fun of the design. Yeah, and it's also the interior design as well. So they all look a little different.
That's amazing.
So that's a lot of fun.
When you look at this, how professional and and sleek. And this is it's a very much a creative endeavor, finding a way to make the interior look different, finding a way to make the font pop, finding a way to make those graphics and photographs that go in there
and to make it match the emotion or the feeling of the content. So these books of poetry, yes, they're all poetry. They're all very, very different poetry. So
poetry is all about running the gamut.
Yeah,
for sure.
so that's why they look completely different both on the outside and the inside.
When you with word brush up in at stage.
Oh yeah, and as being the classic help me. I told things that when you would really met these when I did.
Yeah.
One I had not things in before stuff on my trying to get them nothing anyone that I read is for exhibiting that happened really way the and up and out
in love help her become your infant and you fit photography.
Absolutely. Well, I was away with timing for travel beautiful. My thing was incredible. So hope and take that to me and it's been happy. All new work enabled them very happy.
It's of little twist.
Actually play some around the theater. Back intrigued. I think some yellows of the white are in green.
Next one in the sky can't get away. See the what a bitch
Santa architect built able to or the
I love Torini with
version of the architecture and I herbs this
beautiful. So next we have a whole different perspective.
This is Athens. This is looking up at one of the buildings of the Acropolis and at sunset. And I have, played with it a little bit with the color, but it is just stunning at night when it's lit up like this. So, and Athens was amazing just to think about the people that were there and how they built these amazing structures back when they did. It's incredible.
Oh my gosh. And now coming back to us here, there is this, like when I looked at some of your photographs, they almost look like paintings. There's a real texture to a lot of them. Now, what made you decide to specifically showcase your photographs not using the hyperrealism of photography? Why add that extra dimension of the softening and the changing of colors and the tweaking with them so that they're no longer these exact replicas of reality that we imagine photography is for?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't do that on very many of my images. A lot of my images I leave, I might adjust color a tiny bit or something like that, but they look still pretty much just like they do, in real life. But some of the images in the Grease show, I did play with more. I'm really not sure. I felt like I wanted them to have some more drama than what the photograph captured. I think that's probably it more than anything, to capture more the feeling that I got from the image, so I could convey that to the people looking at my final work, like the Acropolis, like in my postcard for the show, I have these columns, the Temple of Zeus, which I could see from my hotel, which was awesome. But just to, sometimes photographs, straight out of the camera, they don't capture all of the emotion, all of the, the atmosphere of that moment. And so as the artist behind the camera, using Photoshop is like Ansel Adams using the light or the dark room. You play with it until it's what you want to convey. So I don't know. I think as time goes on, I may, be playing more with my images than I have in the past. I've really enjoyed it on some of these that I did. But like I said, some of the other images, pretty much straight out of the camera. So it really just depends.
It's true. We have a couple more of some of the other images that you've taken from before your trip to Greece, where now I love this one of the tiger that we have back there that is, again, you can see your real love of lines and shape, the graphic design that appears in what you choose as your subjects. I just absolutely love.
Well, I call this Fierce Beauty, and this was in Mexico. And personally, I love tigers. I don't have many favorites in this world. I'm hard pressed to choose a favorite. Anything. I don't have a favorite movie. I don't have a favorite song. Nothing. I cannot do it. I have a favorite animal, and that's a Bengal tiger. So I was thrilled to be able to take pictures of a tiger on my trip to Mexico, and through little holes in a fence. So it was really hard to get anything other than a headshot, but I was thrilled with this image. And yes, tigers, it is funny because I loved tigers before I knew I loved design, but tigers are a great animal if you love design because they're just the fantastic colors and the stripes, and Bengals have the little white circle on their ear.
Nice. And even in this next one with the palm fronds, you can see the light, the lines, the color, the way the color changes. I mean, this looks to me like I want this to be a book cover. I want to read this book. I don't even know what's in this book, but I want to read this book.
That's awesome.
I definitely do. Now, the next one that we have is another one that I love because these two are very realistic as much as they're a segment of the reality. But this cityscape that we have is another one that looks very much like a painting.
Yes.
So this was another one you chose to Photoshop.
Yes, and this is called Beaver Street. Very
Good
creative.
old York.
Yes. And I was selling some pictures at Central Market last winter.
This one is quite famous locally, actually.
Yeah,
this is very findable.
I had a lot of people ask me, because I did have it there on canvas, and I had a lot of people asking me about my painting. And I'm like, it's not a painting, it's a photograph. But it does really quite look like a painting when it's on canvas especially. But yeah, I found that with my, and I maybe shouldn't reveal this on TV, but I found that with my building shots, that architecture shots, because I love the architecture in York City. It's amazing, such variety. And I found that playing with a little bit in Photoshop to bring out the lines, the lines of the bricks, all of the different lines and curves of the buildings, makes them pop and makes you appreciate them more than straight out of the camera, because it doesn't capture all those tiny little texture details. So that is why I tend to play with those building pictures.
Well, I absolutely love the fact that you are able to so clearly express why an artist behind the eye of a camera is a completely different thing than, selfie snapshots and cell phone pictures, and that photography, even though it deals with reality, is absolutely its own art form.
Oh,
that it is such a creative way of viewing the world. Just like we all speak, but a poet is using words to create an entirely different reality. So I think you have absolutely created a whole new realm of photography fans.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. And everyone needs to, I know they've been below the screen, but give us the websites one more time.
The website for my photographs is walshwritingdesigns.com.
Yes.
Very easy.
Check it out. Absolutely. And thank you, Carmen, for coming on and telling us about all the awesome graphics, editing, and especially the beautiful photography.
Thank you very much.
As always, I appreciate you joining us on the Corner of Culture in Maine. I hope you had as great a time as I did getting to talk to and know these wonderful women. If you liked what you saw, or even if you didn't, make sure to check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Culture in Maine. You can find us on email, cultureinmaine@gmail.com. Even follow us on Twitter @Culture in Maine, and let us know what you think. Log on to WRCT.tv and you can look old episodes up. You can check out our past artists and see what's coming up in the future. And if you have any ideas for segments, artists, things you'd like to see showcased, you just let us know. We are York's art scene, and we are here to share with you all the things that we are excited about. So thank you for joining us. Have a blessed and safe week, and we will see you next week on the Corner of Culture and Maine.